On the first night of Passover, after many of us were sitting around our Seder tables, retelling our people's journey from slavery to freedom, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and his family were targeted by an anti-Semitic attack and had their home firebombed. It wasn't just hateful, it was chilling. A direct message to a Jewish public servant and his family meant to intimidate and instill fear right in the heart of our sacred holiday, a time where we think about freedom. This is not an isolated incident. Anti-Semitism is rising, loudly, visibly, and alarmingly so. It shows up in politics, on college campuses, on social media, and in our neighborhoods, and is being normalized in ways that are hard to comprehend, even for those of us who have spent our lives studying and remembering Jewish history. But the answer to anti-Semitism cannot be fear alone. Fear is real. It is warranted. But fear cannot be the ground on which we build our response. Because here's what our history teaches us, what the story of Passover teaches us. Our safety has never come from aligning with power for its own sake. Our safety has never come from silencing dissent or closing borders or weakening the very freedoms that make life in this country possible for us and for so many others. No, our safety as Jews has always been tied to something deeper, to the strength of civil society, to the rule of law, to the freedom to speak and study and question and dissent. We have thrived in places where democracy thrives. We have found security where human dignity is protected for all. And that's why I'm so deeply concerned about what we're seeing in response to anti-Semitism right now. In the name of protecting Jews, we are watching students, many of them immigrants or children of immigrants, arrested without due process. We are seeing threats to billions in funding for academic research and education. And we are hearing calls to shut down protest, to criminalize free speech, and to punish dissent. Let me say this clearly. These actions do not make us safer. They do not honor our fears. Rather, they exploit them. They take our real and painful concerns about anti-Semitism and use them as a tool to erode the very rights they protect, that protect us and all vulnerable people in this country. And that is something we must reject, because our Jewish tradition calls us to a different kind of courage, a courage rooted not just in survival, but in moral clarity, in compassion, in tzedek, in justice. There is a midrash in Exodus Rabbah that I was thinking about this week. It tells the story of the Israelites standing at the edge of the Sea of Reeds, trapped between the water in front of them that had not split and Pharaoh's army coming up behind them. The people are terrified. Moses begins to pray, and God says to him, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move forward. Go!" But according to the Midrash, no one wants to move until one person, until Nachshon ben Aminadav steps into the sea. And not just a little. He walks in until the waters reach his nose, and only then, when he takes that leap of faith, that moral risk, does the sea part. The message is clear. Redemption doesn't come when we wait for miracles. It comes when we take brave, values-driven action, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when we're afraid, especially when we're not sure what will happen next. We are Nachshon's heirs. We are the ones who must be willing to walk forward when the path isn't clear, to hold fast to our values even when we're scared, to believe that the sea will part if we are bold enough to step in. The Torah tells us 36 times more than any other commandment, to love the stranger, to protect the outsider, because we were strangers in the land of Egypt. We know what it's like to be scapegoated. In every generation, we know what it's like to be scapegoated. We know what it's like to be othered. And that memory, our collective trauma, is meant to be a guide for our empathy, not a license for silence. It is possible, it is necessary to fight anti-Semitism without turning our back on democracy, without abandoning the freedoms that have allowed Jewish life to flourish here. And it is possible, it is essential to seek justice for our own people while also standing in solidarity with others who are targeted and marginalized. We live in a frightening moment, but we also live in a moment of moral choice. Do we double down on the values that have carried us through exile and struggle and persecution? Do we remember that our liberation story is not just about what God did for us, but what we are called on to do for others? Do we stay grounded in our faith, in our ethics, in our belief that everyone, Jew and non-Jew alike, is made in the image of God? I pray that we do. I pray that we find the courage to reject easy answers and dangerous shortcuts. I pray that we refuse to let our pain be weaponized. I pray that we remain, even in fear, a people of hope, a people who knows what true safety looks like, a world in which every person is free and protected and seen in their full dignity. This is the only path forward. That is the only way we get to the promised land, not just for us, but for everyone. And I pray that we go there soon. Shabbat Shalom.